Welcome. We should be live. We should be good. Hello, everyone.
Excellent. Woohoo! It's great to be back. This is the stream of truth. I am Dr. Tassel Faith Shanebrook.
I'm Sean Kelly. I want to apologize first for not meeting the noon that we said. I had to go to the doctor's to get a letter, and the doctor's takes some time. So we're gonna try though to do the noon thing, and actually I should be, the next time we go live I should be in Nashville.
You'll be right here. Yeah, right next to me.
You know, providing they allow in such riffraff as myself to your country, then I will be there.
Awesome. We await your arrival with bated breath. So today, I love this topic. It's a beginner's guide to twin flames. So all this week, we've been talking about twin flames. Sean and I shared our twin flame story. We talked about ways to remain in harmony with your twin flame.
And just to add to that, I'll add the links to those videos in the description. I forgot to do it before we went live. I'll do it after.
Yeah, great.
If you could remind me, if you could help remind me, that would also probably assist in making sure it occurs.
It's been written down. So we talked about our twin flame story, tips about remaining in harmony with your twin flame, and then yesterday we covered the twin flame stages. And so today we felt a draw to just take it back a little bit, and for anyone that this is a new concept, maybe you've never heard of twin flames, what the heck is a twin flame? I don't know anything about it. This hopefully will provide you with some foundational information. And what we're going to cover is, what is a twin flame? The difference between a soulmate relationship and a twin flame relationship, ways to prepare for a twin flame relationship, and some signs that you indeed have met your twin flame. Dun,
yeah.
Dun, dun.
So I'd like to start. So before we get into what a twin flame is, I think I'd like to start with the disclaimer, just saying that this is sort of based on our experience. Everybody's path, not only is everyone's individual path very unique, but also the path of people coming together in various types of union, whether like soulmate karmic stuff or twin flame, it's all very unique, and it expresses itself in so many different ways. So it's important to take anything that you hear or say from anybody like us, including us, talking about these topics, and run it through your own discernment and what feels right to you. The things that we talk about may or may not apply to your particular scenario. And so having said that, this is, I think, how we see what a twin flame is.
Yes.
So the way that I personally see it is as a relationship that gets formed through a very close, trusting bond, that is sort of primarily centered around both of your spiritual growth. Like, that is the primary focus of it. Everything else that occurs with it is like icing on the cake, or just other components to it. But the primary sort of impetus and the reason for the whole union, in my perspective, is to facilitate spiritual growth. And that comes about through a lot of harmonious interactions, and then also through various conflicts that come up, or challenges that you're sort of asked to participate in with each other. I think the main difference between what I see as sort of karmic connections and twin flame connections is that the twin flame is generally approached by both parties with an awareness that that's really what it's about. that it's a sort of spiritual thing with each other as partners, and that's sort of the focus. And then there's usually a very intense component to it as well. The intensity can ramp up slowly, or it can like explode from the gates. It can show itself in different ways. But there usually is like an intense calling to serve somehow, or to engage with this person. It doesn't always make a lot of sense. And that's another thing too, is often it doesn't make a ton of sense to the logical mind, I think, in various ways. So those are some of the ways that I see how you can distinguish that type of relationship forming. The best way to know, I think, though, is to sort of go within and try to determine your true, honest feelings about the relationship and about the person, and let that be your highest guide. The rest of it is, we can think around the relationship a lot, around all the aspects of the relationship, but that's not really engaging with the feeling of how we feel about the person, right? So it's a different activity.
Yes. And piggybacking off of what you just said, I was just thinking that for me, before this twin flame relationship, I was in many soulmate relationships. And in all of those relationships, it was my rational mind, my thinking mind, that drew me to this person. Oh, this person is about my age. This person will be a good dad, a good provider. This person is this person is that. It was a lot of my rational thinking that drew me to my soulmate relationship. And then when I met you, the rational mind was completely freaked out, because all of those draws were a little more complicated and confusing, with our age difference, different countries that we live in, both have children. You were still living with your soon-to-be ex-wife at the time. So to me, this is a big difference between the soulmate relationship and the twin flame relationship.
Yeah.
I really had to drop into what I call my heart mind, the mind that feels guided by my intuition and all of that. So to me, that's also a way to kind of delineate the difference.
That's awesome that you said that. I was gonna just add to that, like the karmic relationships formed earlier on are typically done from compatibility.
Yes, exactly.
Whether the compatibility is due to a feeling of responsibility, or due to traits or things that individual brings to to benefit you, basically. How does this person fit into my life in a way that is compatible? And if that seems like synergistic, or we feel that we can make it synergistic, that's when we'll establish those relationships. And that
compatibility is usually from our societal programming. Oh, this person seems compatible because of the way I've been socialized to believe I need to have this type of person in my life.
And then often what happens with that, like you had said, with the twin or divine partner type relationship, you're offered an opportunity to follow the heart instead of applying all the logic and stuff to it.
Yes.
So there's usually some aspects of the attraction that you can't fully explain. Like, I don't get it. Like, typically I date lawyers and doctors, and this dude's a garbage man. I don't get it.
Yes.
But I really want to talk with him and whatever.
Yes.
Not that garbage men are, I'm just saying that an orientation could be that way, right? Like,
yeah, it's just something outside of your comfort zone, I would say.
Yeah,
usually
that's exactly.
in a twin flame relationship, there's something outside of your comfort zone. And it seems like this is a huge initiation, as you said, to move out of the rational mind more into the heart mind.
Yeah.
And then once we become more comfortable with that, then we're operating from our heart mind in all aspects of our life, not just our personal relationships, but our career and our parenting and everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love thinking of it that way because it's so true. It really broke open my heart mind for me.
Yeah. It's one of the ways we show ourselves that following the heart leads to bounties.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of its goals, I would say, as a general thing.
Totally.
It's one of the things that we learn, how to have faith in the heart feeling despite the mind's, no, don't do that.
Yes. And it's just when we were children, we were in our heart mind. We came in that way. And then our parents, our teachers, everyone around us basically taught us to turn our back on our heart.
Pretty much,
what really our dreams were.
Not that they meant to do that.
Yeah, not maliciously, but that's all they knew.
That's all they were taught too, right?
We live in a rational society. Yeah. So this is just such a wonderful return to what is really natural for us. I love that. I love being in the heart mind. It's so awesome. And then I wanted to ask, we talked about this a little bit before we got on, the question someone might have, does everyone have a twin flame?
I would say no.
No?
I would say no, because there are some people that are programming their experience here for So first of all, I would say in an infinite universe, there's really is no yes or no as far as any question of any possibility of occurrence. So if we can fathom it, it did, is, or will occur, if we're even considering it as an option. So in that perspective, there is at least one entity that has programmed experience to pine for and crave this type of thing and never find it and then pass. That is possible. The lessons that entity chose will have to do with acceptance of self without the opportunity to have that sacred mirror that I was talking about. So that would be, a very challenging, difficult journey. But soul's programmed for all types of very difficult paths. If you think about just any type of atrocity or difficult living standards in some countries, or in where there's a lot of famine or poverty, there can be all manner of lessons that a soul programs for, and some of them are meant to build that loneliness, especially if they're not going to awaken in that incarnation. So you can imagine that we go through often hundreds or thousands of incarnations as humans. We have to build energies and experience in loneliness, for example, before we can then switch it and look at all of that experience and heal it in our karmic energies. So my point is that yes, not everybody has one. I think twin flames, because of the spiritual nature and component of it, is more or less sort of going to be two who are awakening in this lifetime. And that won't be everybody alive. Yeah.
And we said this in our first video, that if you are drawn to watching this video about twin flames, then there is most likely a high probability that
that's a good point
in your life experience.
If you're drawn to watch this and you're drawn into this topic and it feels very resonant to you and it makes sense and that stuff, and it feels like it's reaching an inner knowing, then yeah, absolutely, you most likely have one running around somewhere, or will come around at some point.
And as you said, is often tied in with our, well, always tied in with our spiritual ascension process.
I believe that this particular type of relationship is literally a spiritual relationship.
It is literally a spiritual ascension.
So if somebody's not going to awaken, or they are seeming to be very, very entrenched in programming and 3D oriented, and you perceive them to be your twin flame, but they seem very just not at all open hearted in that way. Not that I'm judging their orientation or saying that you should judge it, but the likelihood that they are your twin is now, that's up in question. So you have to really think about that, because you can't participate in an equally trusting, open, unconditional relationship with somebody who has their heart closed off. You're not able to do that, no matter how hard you try. And you also can't awaken another. If you're truly hell-bent on this person and you believe it's them, then really you have to resign yourself to patience and just serve them as best you can, knowing that their pace of awakening, who knows.
And also, anytime any one of us expands, clears, moves forward in our spiritual path, we affect everyone around us. So
Yes.
that also is comforting too, that the work you do will
Yes.
also be reflected in this other person,
And
most likely.
generally speaking, it's for that reason that if you are in what you if let's say you're married to a man, you perceive him as your twin, but he hasn't awoken yet, and he's still very entrenched in the programming, but you are not. Most likely, a lot of friction is going to end up developing there. Either that, or he'll also have opportunity to raise consciousness and raise his vibration and open with your help. It all depends on sort of how you're able to gently approach that with him.
And you don't necessarily have to verbally interact about it.
Right.
You can do your own work. You can envision your partner also expanding and spiritually awakening. And so you don't really even have to, on the 3D level.
That's what I would say. I would say literally on the 3D level,
you can just
let them guide their pace. Because any pushing from you to awaken, if you're offering perspectives that directly contradict their reality frameworks, like every time you do that, they may not say it every time, but it'll build this distrust of you, this because you're saying stuff that they're like, this person's nuts. That's you're pushing. Yeah, and even you're not intending to. You think you're just talking. I would sort of stray away from those topics that seem challenging for that person. If you notice their language and like get them getting perturbed in those types of scenarios, I would usually recommend that. If you want to try to keep it harmonious as you sort of help them grow at whatever rate they feel comfortable with, and if they're into it, they're going to start asking questions. Either they may not feel comfortable to come to you, so they may start looking on their own, but that's sort of what you want to get to, is them feeling comfortable to come to you asking some questions about it, and then them starting to seek on their own. That's until they're doing that, all you can really do is try to hold space for them, and try to be patient and forgive them for some of the confused stuff they're going to do, and try to just be patient and hold space. And doing all of that is a big act of service, I think. So so just to summarize, if you have landed here on this video, most likely you
you are potentially headed for a twin flame experience.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. Welcome.
I think actually
welcome to the adventure.
These types of relationships will become the more of the normative.
Yes.
They'll also,
as we more and more of us are awakening. There'll
be a lot more exploratory sex as well, with partners moving with other partners and weird stuff going on. I shouldn't say weird, but a lot more freedom in that, like, as people release all their shame.
Yes.
From sex.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot more free expression of all types of oddity. I mean, that's what I see just intuitively, but I think that the twin flame, basically spirituality will become the core, the driving force of humanity.
Yes.
And all relationships at their core will have a spiritual undertone. So the twin flame, you could see what we're doing here now as twins in this experience now is forming how those bonds between others function and setting the being the way showers for that, for
templating. Yeah.
We're templating how to do that harmoniously, because eventually all relationships will have that component to it, that oneness component and unconditional trust.
Have that like infrastructure of the spiritual work.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Next topic here is, can I prepare for my twin flame? Are there things that I can do to get ready?
You have to put a sign up. And ideally get a tattoo on your forehead.
Yeah. Open for twin flame.
Yeah. Put ads in Kijiji. You can do that too.
What's Kijiji? Is that a dating place?
It's probably, I don't know if it's Canadian, but it's like a buy and sell thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like Craigslist. Yeah.
Okay.
So no, don't do any of that stuff. I mean, unless you want to. I mean, do as you please. But
so we're gonna say this all the time on every video we do. That phrase, inner work. Do your inner work.
Yeah. Like, basically, if we just step back from it all and just apply a little bit of logic to it, what else could you really do? If you're waiting for your twin, you don't know where they are.
Right.
The way that it does work is that when you're ready, they'll pop up. But they won't pop up until you're ready. So all you can really do is work on your readiness. But you don't really know what that means.
Yeah. What the heck does that mean?
And we can't tell you what your readiness is either, because it's unique to each individual. And
I would just say the quickest, most productive route is take some time to be by yourself and feel your feelings.
That sounds almost dumb. That would do anything.
I know. Especially because we've mostly been
almost
taught
absurd
not to feel our feelings. I think particularly men. It feels like, well, what's that going to do? How's that going to help anything?
Yeah.
First of all, I might feel sad. And how's that going to help anything? It feels like it could even be a waste of my time to feel my feelings. Why would we want to do that?
Can I answer that question?
Yes, please.
That we can have the pretend egoic mind is asking?
Yeah.
The reason that works is because basically the universe, you have all these desires, but they're also met with all these resistances in yourself that say that you don't deserve the desire, or you aren't capable of handling it, or your life would change too much if you did get it. It would come with more responsibility. Who knows? But there's all these resistances that you have as well. And some of the resistances are also subconscious layering of programming as well, or unconscious programming. And really, all that ever is happening is you're drawing experience to yourself at the perfect time for you. That's all you're ever doing. It feels like we go out and do stuff, but that's not quite how it works. It's actually the opposite. We actually are sitting still, and the stuff is coming to us. Is more closely what's truly occurring. And so we have to basically clear any resistances we have to opening our heart. Essentially, we have to start to be able to love ourselves to probably a certain minimum threshold for us to be able to offer ourselves in a unconditional way to another. We have to first be able to do that to ourselves. And so the twin won't come in if you can't love yourself yet.
Yes. Yes.
They can't sit with you. They won't be able to.
Yes.
And they probably aren't ready yet either.
Yes.
As well. So that's the way to look at it.
As we feel feelings that may have been present within us, but somewhat tucked away from our whole lifetime and potentially other lifetimes. These could be feelings of shame, feelings of guilt, feelings of regret, feelings of anxiety, feelings of fear,
as well as stories like that.
Yep.
Everyone always takes advantage of me, or whatever, just all these types of things. If you have all of that stuff, these are all resistances that basically fears if you do get in a relationship that are still there. So you'll end up projecting them all on your twin, and the whole thing would be a mess. So
the process is really, it's a purification process.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, this is the emotional purification process, is feeling all the feelings, letting all those old stories come up, and really just releasing all of that back to Mother, Father, God. And then another interesting purification process that both you and I were guided to, and I'm not saying you necessarily have to do this or that it's essential, but I was really guided to physically purify, to not engage in sexual intimacy with anyone until I met my partner. And I think you felt the same guidance, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Although I fought with mine a lot. Like I went on Bumble, I think it's called, and had some dates. But it obviously didn't get anywhere. But I think what you'll find is even if you try, it doesn't really make sense or work.
I think if you're on this path, your thinking mind may want to go out on dates and may want to fool around, but if you really tune in, it's going to feel off. It's not going to feel right. I didn't have any sexual intimacy with anyone for about 2 years during this period, which felt like a big deal. Like that was
a long time.
Big thing. Yeah. But I just really felt guided to do that. And I think, again, that was a purification process of.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know exactly what the data is, but when you do engage in sexual intimacy with someone, you take on some of their energy. And that, I think it's in your auric field for some, I don't know how long, 2 months.
Yeah,
or I don't know what
there's it's a sexual energy transfer between both, whether they're aware and spiritual or not. That happens.
So if you do take a break from that, you're really clearing that field as well, as well as that emotional field. And then I would also say, in terms of preparation, if it's resonant, you can set an intention. You can write it down that I'm setting an intention to bring in my twin flame, and spirit, please guide me every step of the way. And then just literally every day, just follow whatever the nudges are for that day. And spirit will just take you through all the steps, the whole process for that to unfold.
Yep. Just be careful what you wish for, because what you need to see will be shown to you.
Okay, on that notion, one of the things I really set as an intention for my life partner was that I would just have so much passion and excitement, and the connection would just be out of this world, because my previous experience with men was more that word, MEH, like, So I really wanted that feeling. And I got it with you, but oh my gosh, sometimes it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
You get what you ask for.
Yeah, and to prepare to open to meet the twin, you'll have to do healing. And so what you need to see to heal will be shown. If you're asking for that,
yes.
When you're asking for your twin, you're asking for the preliminary steps too, right?
Yes.
So,
yes. And the healing part might not always be so comfortable when it all comes up.
Yeah.
But just, I love that affirmation. I trust life. Just to trust your life, trust the process you're in, trust your own plan, trust your own path. And this is something I think we're going to talk about in a separate video, but this idea that you don't necessarily have to go seek out a healer, a spiritual teacher, take courses, do yoga every day. Those are all great. But you can just at home feel your feelings, gather the insight on the other end of that, and you can do all of this on your own for free.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should share. I've never taken a spiritual course on anything in my life.
Yeah, I love that. You have just been on your own path. You have followed your nudges. You might read books.
Oh yeah,
or listen to recordings on the internet.
I consume content for sure.
Yeah, but you're very just inner directed on that path, which I think is amazing.
I think for whatever reason I got lucky. It was a little natural to me, but I think that a nice balance is good, because some of the stuff that people say can help you form new perspectives. I think just keeping an open mind is, and forming your view in a very eclectic way.
Yes.
Not
that you're directing it.
Yeah, you're directing what feels good.
Yeah.
If somebody says
following,
you can't enter the Akashic records unless you do this exact prayer that I got from this channeled work.
Right.
Maybe, okay, but maybe that's not, if you believe that's the case, then that's going to be the case, right?
This is what we're talking about, I would say, is spiritual sovereignty.
Yeah.
That you are sovereign over your spiritual path.
Yeah.
It begins and ends with you. You will connect with other people. You will read other content, but it all filters through your own guidance system and is directed by you. And
actually, literally nothing occurs to you without your consent. Nothing at all. And that's a difficult idea to get our heads around initially, because if we get in, let's say I get in a car accident, I didn't want that to happen, so how did I consent to that? And I guess I'll just explain quickly that the higher self deemed that was appropriate to occur. There are lessons that are going to pop up from that, a whole bunch of stuff, and the higher self chose for that experience to be allowed to occur in that way. Basically, is the easiest way to look at it. And the higher self is you in the future. So you in the future are choosing what's appropriate for you to go through now. So who knows yourself better than yourself, right? So the idea is to just know everything that happens, as great or shitty as it may appear. I gave my consent and created it. and now I'm participating in it, and there's a lesson for me to learn here. If you can approach everything like that, then you can learn to just trust all of it, even the stuff that at first glance seems negative. We're always offered the negative perspective first, until the positivity becomes our balanced and habitual alignment.
And this orientation, this understanding brings so much peace. I don't have to fight what is happening.
Yeah.
I can accept it. I surrender. I know that in the long run, this is in my highest and best good. I can just relax around it.
And it can help a lot to remember all the various bad things that occurred and just remember what you learned from those things.
Yes.
And just shift how you look at those things is like, oh, I actually learned a whole bunch of stuff from those things and various ways to be, various, whatever it was.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's happening in that moment with the bad thing. And, later you'll be able to understand and glean from it what you need. So the best thing you can do is just try to be present, accept the experience instead of focusing on all the emotion, but allow whatever emotion as well, of course. But
yeah. Beautiful. Okay, we had one more aspect here we are going to cover, and that is, how do you know if you have indeed met your twin flame when this eventually comes in? So we made a list here. The first thing we said is a sense of familiarity.
Yep. Yeah.
And this was the first thing I noticed with you. This was the first thing. You felt so familiar, like an old friend. Or as if I had known you since my childhood. It just, sometimes I've said this, you felt like a warm blanket, very cozy and safe and homey. You felt like home to me.
Yep.
And you still do. So familiarity as a sign. Attraction. There can be very intense attraction on every level. Physical attraction, emotionally feeling very attracted, maybe spiritually very resonant with each other, intellectual attraction. I feel for me towards you, there's just attraction in every aspect, which I hadn't really experienced with anyone prior.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I don't think.
Just to hit all those
aspects. Yeah, no, I haven't. That's probably one.
Another one that we talked about is that there most likely will be some aspect between the two of you that challenges your societal programming.
Yeah.
So for instance, between you and me, there's quite a significant age difference. I'm about 17, 18 years older than you. And it doesn't feel big now, but in the beginning, I thought, oh gosh, he's so much younger than me. Can this work? There was definitely, that's what the rational egoic mind was thinking.
Yep.
And then there were some other things between us that also, like, because we live in different countries and we each have children. And at the time you were still living with your soon to be ex-wife and things like that. So there may be some aspects around this, or it could be that maybe you've mostly identified as heterosexual and then your twin is of the same gender. And that is really challenging to your programming or what you thought was your identity. And these seem orchestrated in the relationship in order to help us really break free of that egoic programming.
Yeah, you also may start to have dreams about them, or you may end up experiencing them in meditation or things like that. Basically, it starts to it just sort of feels different than other things, other relationships, I guess, is the best way to.
They feel like your person, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to make that have that feeling. Like, I think all the other men that I was with before, I wanted them so much to be my person, but it was really a reach. It was really trying to force that. It wasn't really natural. I would say in a twin flame relationship, it just feels so natural that this is my person.
And especially as we relax all of our conditions around the perfect person as well.
Yes.
And we accept more and more, like the qualities of our person, the person we're with, that may have bothered us in the past, don't register the same. They don't, because we're not judging the behavior anymore.
Yeah. So in the beginning, we talked about with soulmate relationships, there's often this compatibility that the rational mind is looking for and is content with, this societal idea of compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
And with your twin flame, there may be some things that the society wouldn't deem as compatible, like a big age difference, especially with the woman being older in this case, or some other so-called incompatibilities. But as you said, when we relax that judgment and just come into the heart mind and just really feel what there is to feel, it's so obvious. And to me, that's how I really came forward with you, is when I dropped all that programming.
Yeah. And then we start to then apply that same process to the other things that we start to notice, but we've already done it with a bigger thing. So we start to notice that, a lot of these ideas I have around them not doing the thing that is correct or that I'd prefer, a lot of it is more just about the orientation that I have from my experience, and the way they're doing it is fine. It may be weird to me, but it's fine. Right. And it's no longer a problem. So you may notice it and go, that's weird. But it's more like quirky. It feels more like quirky, not like a problem. Just like I could use the example of the album covers that you were working on, like how much you worked on it and your sort of perfectionism. In the past, I think I told you this already too, is in the past that probably would bother me. But it didn't bother me at all. I thought it was cute.
That's interesting.
So
it does.
You just start to expand the acceptance, and then so that there's just this, it's almost like they can't really do anything wrong.
It really is that. I'm glad you said that. That is so the energy that I think is in the twin flame relationship. It's like you can really do no wrong. You could just, it's total acceptance, and not that there can be frustrations and things, that are challenging, but sort of overall, it's just like there's such a glowing adoration of the person. And it's such a deep initiation into unconditional acceptance. And to me, it feels like a relief. I'm so glad to let go of all my narrow ideas of how a person should be. And I'm glad to get rid of all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some of the ways that you are really different from me. And
I'm a weirdo.
Yeah, I would say eccentric or unique, and I love it.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with being a weirdo, eccentric, whatever.
It has helped me loosen up, and it's just great to accept everyone exactly as they are, and we're all unique and beautiful and wonderful, and it's so great.
We are all pretty good.
Pretty good.
I think that's it.
I think that's
everything.
And I just want to mention that, so this is the fourth video on twin flames that we've done. And just to recap, the first one was our twin flame story. We shared our whole story together. And then the second one is 11 tips to stay with your twin flame, how to have a harmonious relationship. And the third one is, what are the twin flame stages? And we are soon going to be offering a course, a video course on twin flame divine partnership. Just go in to deep all of this on a deeper level, and lots of practices, and it's going to be amazing. And it'll probably be donation based, so everyone can have access to it. And we will be here normally at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. And if you want to reach out to us for any individual coaching or any assistance, you can contact us on the doctorandthewizard.com, which I believe is right below where I'm pointing. Right? Is it?
Right there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. So much love to everybody.
Bye.